folks, Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. Hey, we're coming to your blog post we want to share with you. Hey, we're going to be doing a versus comparison between two of these awesome phones. Give us a like, subscribe to us. We have all the major phone companies sending us phones, all the major gadget companies sending us gadgets. You're going to want to tune in so you can see all the wonderful stuff. So, the two phones we have today that we're pitting against each other, the AT&T iPhone 5S and the AT&T HTC One. Look, it's even gold. It's worth like 10 grand or something now on eBay. So what we're going to do is put these two together from AT&T.com, the fastest download and upload speeds. You can check out their website, and let's see who wins. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to take and do a photo comparison between the iPhone 5S and the HTC One. Now, both the 5S and the HTC One claim to have bigger pixels than normal standard phones, and the HTC One claims to have ultra pixels, which are supposed to be larger. Now, the given difference here is that the iPhone 5S is an 8 megapixel camera. It's supposed to have a really good aperture rating of 2.2 f-stop, and which brings some more light, and it's supposed to have, bigger pixel sensor. The HTC One is a 4 megapixel camera. It's supposed to have ultra pixels that are supposed to make it better than an 8 megapixel camera. So we're going to see how it works out. Both are supposed to work better in low light situations. A bit of a marketing thing. It seems like anytime I hear that, I start to wonder. So let's take a look at both these cameras. Now we're going to break these down. We're not going to look at them on the phone screens because that really isn't fair. We're going to be looking at them on a blown up screen as you see here. So let's take a look at this. Now this is a completely dark room. We are in complete utter dark blackness here. The trick is to get the camera to flash and find its focus point and be able to take a decent image. So here you can see the iPhone 5S is taking the picture here. One thing we noticed about the iPhone 5S in these camera tests we're doing, the yellow's really jacked up. Some companies will do this. They'll jack up the yellow, greens, blues, and in doing so, and you get in environments that have a lot of yellow, you end up with some issues. And you can see here the yellow is very pervasive in this photo, as is the blue. And we'll go through these other photos. You can see what I'm talking about. So here we have the iPhone 5. This is the flash. It's got a really good flash that you can find in the iPhone, and it takes a good flash. You can see the room is very well lit up, etc., etc. Let's take a look now at the HTC One. This is pretty much the same sort of setting. Now you can see here the flash isn't quite as powerful or bright. Given the HTC One is supposed to have a very powerful flash on it, not quite as good. Now this is taken with a different setup where we've set up different things, but once again this is in complete dark blackness room, and the lamp flash just not as powerful on the HTC One over the iPhone 5S. Now we're going to switch to another all dark picture here. Both these pictures were taken in complete and utter darkness in the middle of the night. There was no light provided whatsoever to find their focal points, and this is the iPhone 5S taking a picture. You can see it takes a very good picture. The colors of my cabinets are a little lighter and darker over here than they really are, but takes a good picture. You can see here details of everything very well. You can even see the detail around the rim of the glasses. You can almost make out the nameplate over here of the blender. You can see the switches on the wall and the tags and thing. Pretty good job for the middle of the night shot and all that good stuff. Let's take a look at how the HTC One did. Now here's the HTC One shot. Struggled a little bit to find focal point. I should mention that when we were in the clothes room, in the laundry dryer room, it took us about 2 or 3 shots to get the shot right where it could find its focus. We had to manually press on the screen and get it to adjust. So the HTC One did struggle to find a focal point. Here you can see it takes a pretty good picture, fairly good flash. There's some focusing issues where it's still not capturing the focusing quite right like we wanted it. But flash is fairly powerful. I think the iPhone 5 wins here. Like I mentioned, we did have an issue with, we took about 4 pictures in the laundry room where we couldn't get the HTC One to focus, and it was only until we actually did video and forced the focus there onto the screen that we got it to work in the focus of the dark area. So definitely some issues there between the two. I'm sorry, we test phones. We really don't care how it turns out. So if you don't like that, you're an HTC One fan, sorry to bring you the bad news, but That's how we do things around here. So let's go ahead and see if we can't find our next photo that we want to take a look at here on the, this is our iPhone 5S, and this is going to be our HTC One. Now, these two different photos were taken on 2 different days from pretty much the same position on the pavement. Now, one issue we had with the iPhone 5S, as you can see here once again what I was talking about, very jacked up yellows and greens, really jacked up almost from a software benefit. Now you can see here over on the chimney, lots of yellow, just really yellow. This is actually a white house up here and it looks yellow. This just really yellows and greens blown out when you look at this picture. The blue, of course, is way blown out up here in the top. If you see some of the other pictures we did comparisons on, you can see how strong the blue is on this garbage can over here. Now let's go to the HTC One pic. Now in this pic, we don't have as much sunlight in this pic. I do have to tell you. So we don't have as much sunlight, and we have some overcast cloud skies. But if you notice, they're not quite as blue. We're actually getting some red pinkish stuff here. But you notice that the green isn't as prevalent. See how the colors are more natural here? One thing we noticed when we were comparing the iPhone 5S with some of the other cameras was it was blowing out this wall, and we couldn't see the details on the wall, where with other cameras, the Samsung Galaxy S4, etc., we could see the details of the wall. Here, very well, you can see the details of the wall, the details of the chimney. You can even see some of the individual bricks over here and everything else. It looks more like a normal, healthy photo. You can see that the house is white. And you can see that this house is not bright yellow. It's kind of an off yellowish sort of color, and looks very normal. To give you back a perspective, let's flip back to the iPhone 5S. You can see what I'm talking about. You can't see the detail here. This looks like a completely yellow thing, whatever it is. It's very yellow, very blown out into its focal point. Now, some people like that because basically they say, oh, well, the picture is brighter, so it's prettier. And, you know, if you're a company who's making a camera for people that aren't great photographers, it certainly makes their photos look good because they're usually not good at being choosy for colors. But as you can see here, definitely the HTC One, in my mind, wins. Plus, it's a 10 megapixel camera, so it's going to get more details and everything else. Let's see if we can't find the comparative photos here as we flip through these, and we'll go through them, and there we are. Okay, now these are taken on 2 different days, but relatively the same position. This is the iPhone 5S. Once again, you see what we're talking about. Lots of greens and yellows bleeding in. The ground isn't quite accurate with what we have. We noticed this in a lot of the different shots that we took with the iPhone 5S, and unless we have a malfunctioning one, it's definitely a cause for concern. This is relatively the same picture, as you can see. It's got much better balance of reds, greens, blues, everything else, and yellows. You can see here the ground is very natural color on the ground here. So I like it much better than the iPhone 5S. So unless I've got an iPhone 5S that has got a lot of green-yellow leakage on it, I'm not that impressed. Now, I know it's supposed to have a 2.2 aperture camera, and maybe it bleeds too much light into the camera, and that's the problem. But usually when you see adjusted yellow, greens, and blues, this is a software thing. We saw this with the HTC Ones, where they were jacking up the red, yellow, blues, and man, if you were in a red, yellow, blue environment, it would explode on you and just wash out the picture. Let's go to the next thing. And you know, a lot of people say pixels don't really matter. I think they do. I think they make a huge amount of difference in the quality of a shot. So let's take a look here. Now here is the iPhone 5S. Once again, can't see a lot of detail in this tree. These are very yellow over here, and they almost look green. It's very blown out in its color and everything else. Let's go to the HTC One. The HTC One just wins hands down. I mean, there's just no competition there. You can see the plenty of details in the leaves and the veins in the leaves and everything else. This is actually a day 2 that was overcast, where when we shot this one, it was not overcast on the iPhone 5S. Not sure what's going on there. Definitely some weird stuff, but the HTC One wins these battles so far. I think in the darkness, the iPhone 5 kind of wins. So let's go to see if we can find our comparative photo here that we took. And we'll see if we can find that. Looks like we don't have one for this particular photo that we took, so we'll move to the next one. I think we were trying some different things here. Here's a close-up taken on a different day than the iPhone 5S, and here you can see the iPhone 5S picture. It's pretty good. You can't see much detail though on the body of the blue mic. Looks pretty good, kind of yellowish up in this area. If we go to the HTC One picture, a little bit normal. You can see the area on the grip, or whatever you want to call this, the cylinder of the blue mic, where it's not just blown out. You can actually see the details a little bit better. It's not all yellow up in here, so I think the HTC One photo is much better on this. Now, we took a number of photos with the HTC One. Let's go to, this is one we're trying to get in close to kind of get a close-up sort of shot. We were having trouble getting the macro shot on this, and it wasn't doing quite as well in getting the macro shot for us. You can see here the iPhone definitely did a little bit better on the macro shot. It got this in focus where we couldn't get a macro shot that was really good out of the HTC One. You can see here it did good in this outer area, but getting too close to the HTC One just couldn't capture the macro shot. It's not really designed to be a macro lens, and most cameras aren't, but it definitely speaks to how good the cameras are. This isn't that great of a macro shot. You can see here it's completely out of focus and starting to just distortion all in here. Even out here is a lot of distortion, but at least focus just a little bit better on the edge of the HTC One. So, or I'm sorry, that was the iPhone 5S. So the iPhone 5S will still kind of win in some of these cases, whereas the HTC One, I think overall, does a much better job, or at least I would prefer to shoot with it in the photos that I've seen here with the HTC One. These are the HTC One pictures that you can see here. So let's take a look at the video. Okay, so here we have the video. This is in the complete darkness of the small room that we're in. This is the iPhone 5S. You can see it lights up fairly okay. It's not the greatest lamp flash, and we're in a very small room, so it's lighting up fairly well. You can see here the yellow, greens, and blues are definitely popping. So there's no green in here, but the yellows and blues. So we'll take a look at that, and then comparatively, let's take a look at how this same image ran on the HTC One. You can see here, really struggle with focal points in the HTC One. This is the room we shot 4 different times and have a struggle with in the dark. The lamp flash is okay, but you can see here once again, it's just not getting focused well. Really struggling in the blackness to find its focus point, and we're really impressed with that sort of experience. Let's take a look at another complete darkness shot. This is in my kitchen in the middle of the night, and we're doing videotape of it, and this is the lamp that's operating. You can see here this is the iPhone 5S, and it gives us tepid results. It's a very long room, and it doesn't do very well. Let's go to the HTC One now. And this is the HTC One. A little bit more brightness. I can actually see stuff in here. You can see the blue cups. You can see different things. A little bit more. Definitely the HTC One. Better lamp in a long version area. Not very good on the focus though. Once again, so we have the focus issue there. Let's take a look at the daylight shot. This is with the iPhone 5 in daylight. Once again, you can see the blown out yellows, yellows, yellows. Lots of green here and everything else. Something we weren't really impressed with the iPhone 5S. Lots of green blowout and yellow blowout. And blue. Look at how blue that garbage can is. That's not that blue in real life. So let's go to the HTC One. See how the HTC One did. Now, given this color isn't going to be quite as bright because we shot this with some overcast on a different day. So this is a different day shooting. But one thing that is important about this is you'll note this isn't yellow. You can see the details on the wall. You can see the this house isn't a full-on yellow. This one is white, like it should be. And to me, it's a whole lot more cleaner shot of what actually took place and what stuff actually looks like. This is what stuff looks like, whether it's bright outside or not. Comparatively, if we go to the iPhone 5S over here, it looks like a brighter picture, but really stuff is blown out and not really in focus like you want it to be. The greens and yellows are just horribly abused there. So to me, the HTC overall wins. It's a much better camera. It's it's a 4 megapixel camera, but the ultra pixels and what they put into it do seem to hold up to the claim in their marketing. Doesn't seem to do too well in really dark environments because of the lamp flash, but most people are probably going to shoot in bright colors. So I'd probably just soon shoot with the HTC One. That's my opinion. Okay, so there you have it. Both these phones are pretty awesome phones. You can go to our good friends at AT&T.com. That's AT&T.com with the fastest download and upload speeds. Tell them Chris Voss sent you. Chris Voss tested, Chris Voss approved. Be sure to check in the ChrisVossShow.com. Often give us a like, subscribe to us on YouTube. We're going to be reviewing about 25 different phones with the new iPhone 5 series, the C's and the S's. So be sure to tune in and subscribe for that. Thanks for coming by.